What are the best subscription retention KPIs to monitor subscription growth within your business? That's the topic that we'll talk about in this episode. I'm Robert Skrob, and this is the show that helps your membership or subscription business to be unleavable. Churn, retention, ARPU, LTV, cohort analysis. Those online subscription systems crank out a dizzying array of numbers. But what should you be paying attention to see if your numbers are moving in the right direction? You may be familiar with the expression, you can only improve what you track, and how true that is. But assuming you are tracking subscription metrics, what are your favorite numbers? Do you prefer retention rate or churn rate? Or are you more of a LTV type of person? Post your comments below. I read every comment and respond too. In this episode, I'm going to reveal the best KPIs to track subscription growth so you'll never be overwhelmed or frustrated by dashboards full of confusing and conflicting data. Before we dive in, press the like button and also subscribe to this channel to make sure that you're the first to know about future episodes. Here's an example chart from a popular online subscription metrics system. It's really nice in that it gives you visibility on what's happening within your subscription business over time. You can see currently there's $421,208 of monthly recurring revenue. That's the dollar value of new subscribers. And on the far right, it shows there's been $4,304 worth of churn this month. For years, creating something like this has been a ton of work, and almost no one had access to this type of data. It's interesting to see the data, but it's not useful as a KPI because it's historic information. There's no indication of the forward trends within this business. Now, here's a customer churn rate report. This chart illustrates that the churn rate for January is 13.7%, which is down from the churn rate of 18.15% in December. And the churn rate in August was in between those rates at 15.47%. I added a red line to draw a trend. Overall, you can see in this example, the churn rate is swinging wildly. Churn rate is where a lot of subscription business leaders go wrong. They look at their rate and compare it with others. Many companies can even quote their churn rate, but have little idea what it really means. Understand that churn rate is an average across your members. And since newer members tend to quit at a higher rate than members that have been with you for a long time, a lower churn rate may mean you aren't attracting enough new subscribers. Yeah, that's right. A lowering churn rate could actually indicate that your subscription growth is slowing. Think about it. If you add fewer new subscribers, and you know that they're the group that experienced disproportionately high cancellations, your churn rate is actually going to be lower. As you can see from this chart, churn rate varies wildly. For this company, it was totally driving these poor people crazy. They had access to the data, but no idea why there was so much fluctuation. I was able to show them the correlation to subscriber acquisition rates. About 30 to 60 days after they acquired a large number of new subscribers, they'd see a churn rate increase. If they had been a few months of lower acquisition rates, their churn rate decreased. While it's great to have lower churn, as you've now seen, a lower churn rate measured by the average churn across all your members often means you're just not acquiring enough new subscribers. And that brings us to cohort analysis. Remember that 13.7 churn rate for January? That's an average of all the different months they acquired new members. Notice the business generated 101 new subscribers in December. Then in month 1, there's a 19.8% churn rate. That means they lost about 20 new subscribers in January from the group of 101 acquired the month before. Then in the row for November, they acquired 151 new subscribers. And then in month 2, total churn is 38.41%. That's the total number of subscribers that they have lost from that cohort. Subtract the 38.41% from the 21.85% that were lost in January, and you see that 16.36% that churned within the month of January. Finally, let's head up to the previous March where they acquired 423 new subscribers. Then move over to month 10, since at that time I took this chart, it was 10 months ago. You'll see that they lost a total of 76.83% of those subscribers acquired back in March. Looking at month 9 in the same row, they had lost 74.47 the month before. Thus, the churn rate for that cohort of subscribers in that month is the difference of 2.36%. Remember again our churn rate of 13.7% in January? This is why I called this number an average. That rate brings in the relatively large churn rates in the first few months, in this case 19.8 and 16.3%, together with the much lower long-term churn rates at 2.36% and then lower for the next several months. While that number of subscribers that are quitting can impact your churn rate, so does the rate of acquisition. Because if you've acquired a lot of new subscribers, you'll have a larger number of new members experiencing a higher churn rate, impacting that average churn. Now, do you see why churn rate is such a terrible KPI? And comparing it to someone else's is even more useless, as there are just too many variables. It's useless within the same business, comparing it month to month, much less using it against some industry benchmarks. So what's the answer? What can you use to track performance from one month to the next? Let me show you another format for a cohort analysis. Notice how this chart includes a weighted average across the bottom. This chart also flips the churn rate to retention. I actually find it more helpful to think in terms of subscribers retained than those churned. Across the bottom, you can see that month 1 retention is 74.4%, month 2 average retention is 59.1%, and month 3 is 49.8%. Make a mental note, you'll see these again in just a moment. Here's an inside look into an example subscription business. Subscription growth is a combination of 4 key factors: attraction, conversion, on-ramp, and retention. Each one is distinct with its own metrics. First, attraction. In this example, we are spending $158,671 each month attracting 43,384 leads. That gives us a cost per lead of $3.66. That brings us to the conversion phase. These leads turn into about 2,000 new buyers each month. These new subscribers spend a total of $158,761 during their first month. This could be product purchases before they elected to become subscribers. This could be their first month of their subscription payment, and it could also be upsells as part of their subscription sign-up sequence. Notice how that initial revenue of $158,761 equals our monthly ad spend of $158,761. Both of these are averages, but it gives us a 1.00 ROAS. ROAS means return on ad spend. You could also calculate the CAC, or customer acquisition cost, by taking the ad spend of $158,761 and dividing it by the 2,000 new subscribers. But I don't find CAC to be all that useful as a management number, so I rarely include it in my dashboards. But the key here is the ROAS of 1.0. This means that we recover our marketing spend within the first transaction of our new buyers. And it's great when you can do it, but most subscription businesses scale with a much lower ROAS and recover their ad costs through the rest of their subscriber lifetime. Now, you get a lot of questions about what your ROAS should be. It depends completely on your business model. Are you generating a lot of upsells? Are you generating a lot of revenue from your new subscribers? Well, then you can afford to have a lower ROAS. Also, if you have a lot of outside capital and you aren't cash flowing your business, you can also increase your marketing spend to increase the subscriber acquisition rate and be able to use that outside capital to finance faster growth. But for this case, we're going to assume a ROAS of 1.0. This business is cash flowing their growth, and it's important to be able to keep those costs in line. Now, the key part where most subscription businesses fail is the on-ramp. Rather than using the average churn rate, we break down the most important components of subscriber churn. First, the refund percentage. In some subscription businesses, this can be very significant. Others, it's not so much. Here, it's 3.4%. Of the 2,000 new buyers, on average, 3.4% of this company's new subscribers ask for a refund. In this case, it's 68 subscribers out of the 2,000. It's important to understand and track that metric. Next, the monthly continuity rate here is $27 on average. If you have multiple subscriptions, you'll actually create one of these charts for each subscription program so that you can manage retention for each. Next, those numbers I shared with you a few moments ago from the cohort analysis. Here they go again. Month 1, 70.6%. Month 2, 56.4%, and month 3, 48.7%. Your first 3 months are the largest churn months. When you track and manage these separately, you can have the largest impact on your subscription growth. With those retention rates, you see 90-day revenue is $255,003. This is the total initial revenue from this 2,000 group of buyers, plus the revenue from these buyers that have generated over the subsequent 3 months after they made their initial purchase. The scale acceleration ratio is my term for the ROAS at the 90-day point. It really impacts your ability to scale the subscription program, and as a 1.61 indicates that you're generating and recovering your ad costs plus another 60% of your ad costs within that first 90 days that your new buyers have come on board with your subscription program. That's not a bad business. And if you could put in $158,761 in ad costs and 90 days later take out $255,003, you'd be trying to figure out how you could increase your ad spend so that you can generate even more, wouldn't you? And with these metrics, you'll be able to quickly know if that increased ad spend is as efficient at paying for itself as it was before. Next, the retention phase. This is the phase where we engage our subscribers for life. Without those first 3 months of high churn, we're able to be more focused on and have a much better positive impact on that long-term retention. Remember that chart indicating an average churn rate of 13% for January? Well, when you separate out the first 3 months, the churn rate for the remaining months of the subscriber's lifetime value becomes a much more manageable number. In this case, an average of 3%. This gives us a total lifetime value for each of those 2,000 subscribers at $538 for a total revenue of $1,076,395 on that ad spend of $158,761. All good, right? Now, this is what happens after 12 months. Here's a chart that projects cash flows if we operated this business with these basic numbers for the next 12 months. Right now, monthly recurring revenue is about $450,000. In 12 months, we'll be at about $590,000. A nice growth rate of 31% in a year. Not bad, right? Next, let's forecast the same numbers out 60 months, 5 years. That's $450,000 growth becomes about $840,000 monthly in 5 years. That's an average annual growth rate of just 17%. nowhere near as exciting. And this is why a lot of investors ask company managements to bring me in to help them set up dashboards. Here, management may think they're doing great because they see the next 12 months of growth, generating a nice cash flow at the moment. However, their growth rate is actually hitting a plateau, and you can even watch your churn rate, LTV, and all the rest fluctuate up and down without any idea that your growth is stalling and your business has stopped growing. Do you have time for one more example? All right, good. In this chart, we're going to be more diligent about managing the on-ramp portion of our business. From $450,000 in monthly revenue to $1.41 million each month. This $5 million a year business is now almost $20 million a year in revenue without more ad spend, without making this business more complicated, just by fixing the churn rate within the first couple of months. And when you start managing these first 3 months, you'll quickly discover that what happens within the first week in the life of your subscriber has the biggest impact on retention. Your goal should be to improve your retention rates for each of the first 3 months of your subscription business. Monitor these within your cohort analysis. As these numbers improve, you'll update your cash flow forecast with the new weighted averages for the first month, second month, and third month. This way you can see the cash flow impacts with your recurring revenue growth rates. Projecting your key subscription metrics into the future gives you the KPIs you need to measure and optimize recurring revenue growth. That's what it takes to be unleavable. Let's summarize what we've covered today. Subscription metrics can be confusing. There's a lot of numbers thrown around, and there's no MBA program for subscription businesses to sort out what's important. Churn rate, LTV, ARPU, and all the other numbers are useless in and of themselves. Your subscription metrics dashboard should track each phase of your subscription growth: attraction, conversion, on-ramp, and retention. A cash flow forecast is how you transform these backward-looking numbers into a forward-looking projection to reflect what's really happening within your subscription business and what you can expect in the next 12 and 60 months based on your recurring growth rates today. Now, if you've enjoyed and benefited from these concepts that I've shared in this episode, then I'm confident that you're going to love this resource. After more than 25 years of working with subscription and membership businesses, I've identified all of the key factors that are seen in the most successful subscription businesses. If you'd like to know what they are, you can either buy the book on Amazon or instantly download a digital copy for free at subscriptionsmadeeasy.com. After you receive the book, there's an opportunity to have me walk you through the details and get your questions answered. You'll probably want that too, but there's no obligation. What subscription metrics do you find most useful in tracking your subscription growth? I'd like to know, and I'm happy to compare notes so that we can learn together. Post your thoughts and comments below, and I always love to hear from you. Also, remember to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and that way you'll be the first to know when new episodes are available. And finally, check out this video on what to include in a new subscriber welcome kit. When you watch, notice how that example welcome kit is created to have a big impact on the on-ramp numbers within your cash flow forecast. Enjoy that episode, and I'll see you next time on Be Unleavable.